My CEO, Alicia Kindner, always says, show me a problem that there is not an art solution for. And so we believe, first and foremost, that the arts is such a great unifier and bringing people together of all races, religion, age groups. And for us, bridging cultural divides through the arts is actually a pillar. And we have, four other pillars that we have as part of our blueprint for collective action. And those include, the arts can move the needle by putting Cincinnati on the map, deepening the roots for people who are already here. The arts can enliven neighborhoods, which restores a sense of pride into people living in that specific community. It increases property values for people. And then the arts also has the power to touch our youth and create meaningful arts educational opportunities for our kids in schools that will develop them and get them ready for the jobs of tomorrow, right? And so a blueprint for collective action includes that the arts bridge cultural divides. And that is, so key for us as we invest in the arts and how we schedule our programming and how we just feel that the arts can bring people together. No matter what divides us outside of the arts can bring us together.
Janice Liebenberg is the Vice President of Equitable Arts Advancement at ArtsWave, a nonprofit with the first and largest community arts campaign in the country. You'll learn why Creativity Squared is a proud partner of the amazing work they do supporting over 150 arts organizations, projects, and independent artists. Janice joined ArtsWave in 2014 and has helped the organization grow relationships with BIPOC artists, audiences, and donors. This includes establishing the region's largest annual grants program for Black and Brown arts organizations, developing ArtsWave quarterly African American art series called Flow, and leading its Black and Brown artist program with nearly 70 artist commissions to date. Because it's important to support artists, 10% of all revenue Creativity Squared generates goes to ArtsWave and is earmarked for its Black and Brown artist program that Janice champions. Janice was promoted to her newly created position to help make diversity, equity, inclusion, and access a hallmark of Greater Cincinnati's arts and culture sector. Born and raised in Cape Town, South Africa, Janice earned a bachelor's in psychology from Northern Kentucky University. She serves on the Cincinnati Opera's board of directors and is the proud alumnus of We Lead, the Cincinnati USA Regional Chambers Leadership Program. Since I met Janice and partnered with ArtsWave for Creativity Squared, I continue to be impressed and inspired by what she and ArtsWave does to create a more vibrant and connected community through the arts. Today, I hope you'll fall in love with ArtsWave as well, especially after learning about their approach to art to bridge cultural divides and help build a more inclusive, equitable community. You'll also learn about their upcoming Truth and Healing Artist Showcase at the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, taking place this July 14th, 15th, and 16th. I'll also be interviewing all of the artists for the show, so this will be a nice preview. Enjoy.
But have you ever thought, what if this is all just a dream?
Welcome to Creativity Squared. Discover how creatives are collaborating with artificial intelligence in your inbox, on YouTube, and on your preferred podcast platform. Hi, I'm Helen Todd, your host, and I'm so excited to have you join the weekly conversations I'm having with amazing pioneers in the space. The intention of these conversations is to ignite our collective imagination at the intersection of AI and creativity to envision a world where artists thrive. Janice, it is so good to have you on Creativity Squared. Welcome.
Thank you, Helen. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, I know today's episode is a little bit off from what we normally talk about, which is AI, but all of our listeners and viewers have heard about ArtsWave because we're committed 10% of all revenue from Creativity Squared to go to ArtsWave. And I'm so excited for the opportunity for our listeners and viewers and community to really understand the amazing organization you're a part of and and why we support you and all the amazing work that you're doing. But before we dive into that, I wanted to kind of start off with why it's so important to you and the work that you do as the Equitable Arts Advancement Vice President for ArtsWave.
Well, thank you, Helen. First and foremost, we appreciate your partnership. It came as quite a lovely surprise. And I just want to thank you, and we welcome, being part of your story. So I was born and raised in South Africa, and I grew up, under the apartheid rule. And, not everybody's story from South Africa is the same. It's really where you were living at the time. South Africa has provinces. And so I grew up on the Western Cape, and it really is, what your background was. And, I've shared this with a lot of people, but I am multiracial, and I was born to, parents who were already multiracial, and then they got married. It wasn't like my mom was Black and my father was white and they had us as kids. No, it's like they have already been pushed into a group, a population which at the time was called colored, and they had me. And so, I'm one of 8 kids. You grow up in South Africa, you see all the signs that says whites only, and coloreds go here and blacks go here. And, you read and you watch the news about the devastation that happens, all around the country. My story isn't unique. These things happen all over the world. I'm just grateful that I'm alive to tell a little bit about my story, because that is not the case for everybody affected by apartheid. But yes, born and raised in South Africa, where there was legalized racism for a very long time, until we had our very first democratic election in '94. And I left South Africa, quite frankly, because I was in pursuit of higher education, and it wasn't going to happen for me growing up in South Africa. I have 7 siblings, and so what was important to my family was just to get us through high school, which they did, but I had this desire to go to college and do a little bit more, reach a little higher. And that's why I came to the United States in the summer of 1999, and just eventually stayed. So what I bring to my job at ArtsWave is this lived experience of, dealing with a system where it just discriminates against certain groups of people. And it is important to me today in my job that we make opportunities available to everyone in our community.
I love that. And for the people listening just on the podcast version or audio version, Janice has a Nelson Mandela photo behind her on screen just to punctuate and remind us, 1994 wasn't really that long ago in the big scheme of things. And here in Cincinnati, where we're based, there's still a lot of inequality. And one of the things that I really love about ArtsWave is the mission of how arts can help build a more inclusive, equitable community. So this might be a great dovetail to introduce ArtsWave and all the amazing work that you all do.
Yes. So ArtsWave has been around nearly 100 years. And, we got our start in 1927 by 2 individuals, Anna Sinton Taft and Charles Phelps Taft, who at the time really wanted to see if the people of Cincinnati at that time and believed in the arts, enjoyed the arts, wanted the arts to be around for generations to come. And what they did was they challenged the community to come together and raise $2.5 million, in which the Tafts then matched, the people's contributions with $1 million of their own money, and they raised that in a very short period of time, which was evident that the arts was important to the people of Cincinnati in 1927. So they came together. People came together, raised $2.5 million. The Tafts gave $1 million of their own money to create this endowment or savings account for the arts, so that it is everything at that time, the assets, the art, the programs would be around for generations to come. The Tafts also bequeathed their home and their entire art collection to the people of Cincinnati. That home today is the Taft Museum of Art. And so all of their personal collection is still there and for everybody to enjoy. So that's a little bit about, why ArtsWave exists. But, everything we do as we are today, we see ourselves as the engine for the arts in our community. And everything we do and invest in is to create a more vibrant economy and a more connected community. Those are the two things that drive everything we do at ArtsWave.
And you're a nationally recognized, but if I understand correctly, the largest national campaign to support the arts. Is that correct?
That is correct. So not only are we the first, again, we got our start in 1927. We are the largest in terms of number of donors that come together every year to give what they can, so that, we invest for our entire community to kind of, rise together. We also raise the most money just this year. Actually, just last week, we announced that we raised $11.83 million that we now will turn right back around to invest in more than 150 arts organizations and projects and independent artists that, will do just what I said, which is create that vibrant economy and that more connected community for all of us.
That's amazing. And congratulations. I know when I emailed you last week, you all were celebrating on the accomplishment because it surpassed your goal. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. It hadn't happened for us in a while, right? We had a pandemic and people changed how they see philanthropic endeavors. And, for some that meant they were sitting out a few years and couldn't contribute. The pandemic hit everyone in a different way. But it is the first time that we could say that we have exceeded our goal, since 2019.
Amazing. And every year you have a different theme, right? And this year's theme is healing. Is that correct?
Well, for the campaign, the theme is created to grow. As we're looking back on almost the past 100 years and what we have accomplished, we are trying to lay the foundation for what's to come for the next 100 years. So ArtsWave's theme for this year is that we are created to grow. And what can we grow today so that it is around 4 generations, 100 years from now? The healing component comes in more closely for one of the initiatives we are doing, which is directly related to our diversity, equity, inclusion, and access strategy. And that program for us is the Black and Brown Artists Program, which is now in its 3rd year. And I can proudly say that, after almost 3 years of doing this, ArtsWave has invested more than $750,000 into this Black and Brown Artist Program. And we have commissioned nearly 17 new works as part of the program. Now, this program, as I said, 3 years old, is a brand new concept for ArtsWave because our investment is in independent artists. And ArtsWave has always been an organization that supports other nonprofit arts organizations, right? And here we are investing in independent artists. And this program came about, you know, we have been in planning with the city of Cincinnati of doing something for independent artists for a long time. But we were so fortunate that when the pandemic hit in 2020, we could meet the moment with funding specifically for Black and Brown artists who didn't have that safety net. As we think about all the CARES Act dollars that were distributed for organizations, independent artists didn't have that safety net, and we could meet the moment in that time for these artists. And so yeah, it's been a wonderful, wonderful program. Not only do we invest dollars in these artists, we showcase collectively their work in the summer every year. And we lean heavily on our arts partners like the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, the Cincinnati Art Museum, other institutions where any given time these individual artists or these independent artists would not have access to. And so we showcase them collectively, and we in a way promote and invite the community in to come and enjoy their work.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And for our listeners and viewers, the 10% of revenue that Creativity Squared contributes to ArtsWave is actually earmarked for the Black and Brown grant and directly supports these artists. And the other very cool thing is the showcase is coming up in July, which we'll dive more into, and we'll actually be interviewing the artists. So you all will get to hear from them directly. And Creativity Squared will be another platform for them to share their artwork, which I am so excited about. So why don't we talk about some of the artists and the program that you have coming in July. So anyone in the region who's listening can participate, and then everyone outside of Cincinnati will get a good tease for the interviews and some other stuff and how they can follow along online.
Absolutely. So it's all very exciting. So in December, we announced funding for 18 artists, and these artists for us not only has African American heritage or experience around Black Cincinnati, but they also bring to us experiences with Guatemalan heritage, Lebanese heritage, Zimbabwean, Somali. So the Cincinnati region is such a welcoming region for immigrants. We actually get to work with these immigrant artists, and they are part of the cohort this year. So we have 18 artists that are hard at work at the moment, and what you can expect during the showcase, which is July 14th, 15th to 16th at the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, is, of course, a visual component. So we have painters, we have a fashion designer, we have a sculptor, and then we have many filmmakers and composers, and we even have a playwright. So there will be a table reading of a newly commissioned play. And the list goes on and on of the experiences that you can expect during that showcase weekend. Luckily for us, the visual component will be around until the second weekend in September at the Freedom Center. So that the visual component has a longer life, but then we'll again activate some of the live performances and films on July 30th. In the Tubman Theater at the Freedom Center. But yes, that's just a little bit of what you can expect from this cohort as they are hard at work, finishing their projects and getting ready for the showcase in July.
That's amazing. Well, I can't wait to be there and meet the artists and then get to speak to them and share that out with our Creativity Squared community here too.
Thank you.
One thing that in talking with you about our partnership that really stands out about ArtsWave is not only how you have your own DEIA program, but that you bake it into the how you award grants to the community as an amplifier effect of making sure that it's not siloed just to ArtsWave. So I'd really love for you to kind of talk about that, because I know that this, is specific to Cincinnati, but it's in this region, but it's such a beautiful template that other people who are listening, maybe it's a seed for other cities and other organizations to think about too. So how do you all, you mentioned your DEIA efforts, and I think you have a blueprint for that, but can you expand on how you think about that and how you implement it?
Yes. So our diversity, equity, inclusion, and access strategy, we call it Lifting as We Learn. And we first publicly shared the strategy in March of 2020. So we have developed 24 KPIs to hold ourselves at ArtsWave and all of our arts partners who receive funding from the annual campaign that we run. We hold ourselves and our arts partners accountable around strategies which calls for increased sources for Black and Brown arts, but also the diversification of staff, boards, vendors, and the diversification of all audiences across the art sector. So those are the things that we want to touch on around our strategy. Yes, we have our strategy in mind when we do make available the grants to our arts partners, and I can share with you that 50 of our largest arts partners have their own board approved diversity, equity, inclusion, and access strategies, and that helps them, and that helps us as you make those grants available to our partners. But more than how the dollars are, distributed to the partners and into the community, we feel that if the arts sector together doesn't do it, we become obsolete, right? Our audiences are changing, ever so evolving, and we need to create programming that is relevant and what people want to see. And the way you do that is that you get in your room, on your staff and on your board and on your volunteer base, the people as it pertains to the makeup of the population. And that's how you get the programming and what's relevant to the people in our community on your stages, in your museums, in our theaters. So that's just a little bit about, ArtsWave's diversity, equity, inclusion strategy and the way we have developed the KPIs and how we will get there for all of the sector to be relevant and produce what people want in our community.
I'm so excited that you have this program and are really lifting the entire community through art. And I'd love for you to kind of speak to how ArtsWave looks at art as bridging cultural divides and how important that is right now in this moment in time, too.
Yes, of course. So my CEO, Alicia Kindner, always says, show me a problem that there is not an art solution for. And so we believe, first and foremost, that the arts is such a great unifier and bringing people together of all races, religion, age groups. And for us, bridging cultural divides through the arts is actually a pillar. And we have, 4 other pillars that we have as part of our blueprint for collective action. And those include, the arts can move the needle by putting Cincinnati on the map, deepening the roots for people who are already here. The arts can enliven neighborhoods, which restores a sense of pride into people living in that specific community. It increases property values for people. And then the arts also has the power to touch our youth and create meaningful arts educational opportunities for our kids in schools that will develop them and get them ready for the jobs of tomorrow, right? And so a blueprint for collective action includes that the arts bridge cultural divides. And that is, so key for us as we invest in the arts and how we schedule our programming and how we just feel that the arts can bring people together. No matter what divides us outside of the arts can bring us together.
That's beautiful. And one big event that that's really putting Cincinnati on the map is Blink. I know that it's not taking place this year, but did have a big event last year. Can you share a little bit about Blink and what makes that special and highlight and how that highlights the region?
Yes, absolutely. So ArtsWave is proud to be the illuminator of Blink. So we are very involved as a organization who makes Blink possible for our community. What we do know from last year's experience is that Blink brought in almost 2 million people to our region for over 4 nights in October of 2022. And the economic impact alone is more than $100 million for our region. We saw art from local artists, but also from national and even international artists. And the way it puts Cincinnati on the map is that people, from Australia talks about this light and arts festival that is happening right here in Cincinnati. It is a wonderful way, as we saw, that bring people. It is just it is the most inclusive way to bring people together, because there is art for everyone. In my experience, and not only was there a point in the creation of the event to include local diverse artists, but also recruit national and international diverse artists to be part of the experience. So it's a wonderful event for Cincinnati region, not just because of how it brings people together, but bigger picture, the economic impact. Those people come here, they stay in our hotels, they eat at our restaurants. And, that is the vibrant economy I already talked about. And then you bring in a community and how they connected they become around one event, and it's all arts inspired. And that is our mission out there. In a nutshell, that what Blink did, that is our mission.
Amazing. And for those who don't know Blink, can you actually explain what it is? Because it's an arts and lights festival. And I will say, having gone to Burning Man and experienced like all the crazy art in the desert, Blink really kind of brings that Burning Man immersive art into the city of Cincinnati in a really amazing way. So I think anyone who's been to Burning Man would really appreciate Blink, but I'll let you explain actually what Blink is.
Well, thanks, Helen. So I have not been to Burning Man. So I'm going to try to just imagine, what that really means for people out there, because if it's the same as Blink, it sounds amazing. So Blink is an arts and light festival that happens in Cincinnati every 2 years in October. It is a way for artists to create new art. So think big scale murals that is activated through projection mapping. So a lot of lights that light up these murals. It's essentially multiple communities that's involved. It's over the Rhine in Cincinnati. It's the downtown core. It is Covington in northern Kentucky across the river. So it's a regional effort, if you will. It is what you can expect for next year from prior experience, that not only is it visual art that is projection mapped, it is also music. It's a little bit of a music festival with stages all around the region. And this past year, the way that the Blink group executed this were in clusters. So they used pockets of areas in a neighborhood, and they concentrated it with murals and projection mapping and of course music. And then they create a lot of hospitality around it, and then you can, migrate from place to place to place to experience this with your friends and family. And literally millions of people are on the street dressed in costume, because the first night of the event is a parade. And so there are many floats, organizations that, dress up and build these floats with art in mind, inclusive art in mind, if I may add, and that's a couple hour long event through the streets of Over the Rhine and the downtown core. But then everything activates. What was unique for us in 2022 is that the Blink team added the components of drones over the river, and so you could sit on the banks of the Ohio River and you could experience these beautiful lightning show put on by drones, and it was just magical, Helen. It was just very, very magical. And it happened for 4 consecutive nights. So it's not like, oh, it's a one night and done. So, I can't make it this one night, and so I'm going to miss it. No, you have 4 opportunities to come out over that 4-day weekend to come and be part of the Blink experience. And, I was out every single night, and I have 3 young kids, and my husband and 3 young kids were out all 4 nights of Blink, and they couldn't get enough. It is a not only an experience for everyone, but it's a family friendly event. And so I highly recommend to anyone listening, not from Cincinnati, to put the dates mid-October of 2024 on your calendar to come out and experience Blink with us.
I'm already looking forward to it, and I've enjoyed it so much. And it really is an impressive art festival. And for those who don't know Cincinnati, there's so many murals that really are everywhere downtown. And to see the light projection, there's one that has birds. But with the light projection, they come to life and fly over the mural and stuff. It really is a special event that the region hosts.
Yes, it is. Agreed. 100%.
Well, one thing I love about Blink is that, you mentioned the inclusion of the artists locally, nationally, internationally, and the diverse audiences. And I think one thing also that stands out so much about ArtsWave is that when you think about your DEIA efforts, that you're not just elevating the artists themselves, but thinking about inclusion from the audiences too, and making sure that those who experience the art are just as representative of the artists themselves. So I was wondering if you could I love the holistic approach, kind of expand on that more, and maybe dovetail more into the full blueprint and holistic approach to your DEIA efforts too.
Yes, I've already mentioned this, but ArtsWave is committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and access, right? We started this journey by acknowledging the inequities in our society, and we are committed to accelerating and expanding programs and investments that just will support the elimination of the systemic racism, and more importantly, bridge cultural divides in our community. So when we rolled out our blueprint of collective action in 2015, bridging cultural divides was, front and center for us. And then with everything that happened in 2020, we kind of doubled down on our investment. And our investment really, since I now have shared that we rolled out the blueprint in 2015, our investment has been a continuation of initiatives driven by the commitment to diversify, audiences, and then of course, create greater equity, have more inclusion, and make arts just accessible to everyone who call the Cincinnati region home. And so part of our strategy was creating an African American art series, which we called Flow, an African American arts experience. It we launched Flow in February of 2020. But by then, it was a culmination of years of planning with many leaders in our community. And you know what happened in February of 2020. Everything shut down after we launched this program. But what it was designed to be at that time was to feature quarterly performances by renowned Black artists and ensembles from around the world, working in various disciplines. And the goal of the series was to grow the demand and the appreciation for expressions of Black arts and culture. And while we're doing that, we are hoping to create that culturally curious audience in the process. So not only do we want to invite African American or Black artists to Cincinnati that would not otherwise come here, we want the people of Cincinnati, we want an audience that is culturally curious, that want to go out and see, what it is we are bringing to a stage or a theater through the Flow initiative. Now, again, we shut down things after we launched, and then we successfully relaunched in December of 2021 by bringing in Norm Lewis, who is this rock star Broadway personality, and we brought him in for 2 nights in December of 2021, and he did his holiday cabaret, which was fantastic. But what we're trying to do with this program is so multifaceted. First, we want to bring in that artistic excellence that wouldn't come here. Number 2, we want to create this culturally curious audience. Number 3, we want to create an experience for African American talent recruited from elsewhere by the top companies in our region, that there is something for them to do here. And then number 4, and there's probably a number 5 and number 6 too, but number 4 is that, the audience that come to the Flow experience is a representative of the community. It is not all African American. No, it is that as diverse as the word diverse can get, that there is white people in the audience coming to see what's on stage because they are culturally curious, right? And so Flow is just at the heart of the audience diversification problem we have, or challenge we have, or challenge we see in the community. When our arts partners do the work by bringing in shows, that is an African American story, they have a hard time selling tickets to a diverse audience. They have a hard time drawing in everyone that usually come to buy their tickets. And so it is something that we see across the board for our arts sector. And so this is an opportunity for ArtsWave to lend its muscle to bring in these experiences, or to latch on to shows and exhibits and performances coming to Cincinnati, and invite our Black and white audience and everybody in between to come and experience this, and perhaps have a social hour before the event, and that's how you keep inviting these people to come in. They come, they see, they enjoy, and hopefully tomorrow they buy their own ticket to go see that show that they would not normally see.
Yeah, I love that. And I think just setting the stage for everyone, we just had an interview with Adobe, creativity for all, and just embracing that art really is for all and not one audience, even if it's the expression or the story from one artist, but it's really inclusive for everyone to participate and enjoy. So I love that you're creating that space in Cincinnati.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We have a long way to go. This is not going to be a strategy for us that is just short-lived. I think that, audiences, as communities and populations within the communities continue to evolve, this is something that everyone will have to work on for a long time. To remain relevant and to have the programming that is important to everyone in the community.
I think that's great. And I know the show also incorporates artificial intelligence, and there's studies out there that, people aren't meeting up in person as much as in the past as far as civic engagement. And there's a loneliness epidemic, and just the need for in-person communities coming together is just so needed in general, but especially events that bring diverse audiences to really start healing a lot of this inequality is so needed right now. And I love that ArtsWave is really ushering that in this region.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. It's important. It is important when we had no art, during the pandemic. We saw the need for encouraging our arts partners to meet the audience where they're at. And what happened in our community didn't happen in every community, and our arts sector didn't kind of is better off than other communities, if I can say that, because of the investment from ArtsWave and the people that contribute to the campaign every year. ArtsWave is truly by the people, for the people. And the art that came out during the pandemic was just a wonderful way for our art sector to continue to do what they do and just meet the people where they're at, because it was so needed, and continue to be, a way for our people to want to be engaged in, and because there's such healing qualities in the arts. It's just the way, as social human beings, that's how we want to engage, and we're grateful for what we have here, and how we as a sector can continue to serve the community.
That's beautiful. One thing that, I really love about art is also, the expression of artists and sharing their story and translating moments in time in different ways and mediums. And that you have these themes for the Black and Brown grant and showcase. And this year's is truth and healing, which is such, a beautiful theme for these artists to translate. So I'd love to hear more about that theme, and if you wanted to share about some past themes, since this was really born out of the pandemic too.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, we said that we really met the moment in 2020 when we realized our independent artists didn't have that safety net that others may have had. And the theme in 2020, which we really, rolled out in 21, came about, and the theme was truth and reconciliation. So we absolutely, for the first year when we rolled this program out, wanted to hear everyone's truth. We were prepared to only hear truth as the artists were creating. But, little did we know that the artists were going to give us glimmers of hope and steps to reconcile with what is happening in our country in 2020. And so since then, the theme has evolved in 2022. We saw a lot of truth, but also inspiration. The artist's work just inspired us and gave us so much more hope that in year 3, we were hoping to take it even a step further. We've had tons of truth. We were hoping to reconcile if there was a path for reconciliation. We saw tremendous inspiration through the art. And then this year, we were asking the artists if they could imagine sharing their truth, but also let us understand if in creating the art that there is a path toward healing or rebirth or reconnecting. And what you will see during the showcase in July are just that. And I'll touch on a few of the artists and the work that they have been doing. So we have a sculptor. His name is Michael Copage. His project is called The 12 Commandments. And it is essentially a series of sculptures that he has been able to create through this commissioned program with ArtsWave. And his project is a play on the 10 Commandments from the Bible. And it is just that. It is commands. And in his project, it is the commands that police officers bark out to Black men during any type of altercation. So hands behind your back, head on the floor, all these commands that they bark out to young Black men before arrest. He is putting that into sculptures. So you will see the commands and these beautiful bronzes that he has created. There's now 4 in the series. And then, of course, he has it accompanied with a video that is, a heartbeat. You can hear a heartbeat. And then you see the different commands in video, but then you see where he is in his journey with the sculptures. As his project is 12 Commandments. You'll also see a project by an artist named Brent Billingsley, where he is creating dialogue between the youth of Cincinnati and the police department. So there is more dialogue and interaction and art making that come to that as these groups, these young men, young kids. It's not just men; it's all young kids. So it's the youth of Cincinnati and meaningful interaction with police officers, so that their first encounter with a police officer is positive, right? And that there is, building of trust between young kids and these figures of authority in the community, and we bring them together by making art. That is a project by Brent Billingsley, and he calls it "I'm Listening," or as his project for this year is "I'm Still Listening," as it's a build on what he's been doing for the last couple of years by convening youth and police officers to build that relationship, so that the first encounter for a young person with a police officer, this person of authority, is not negative, but indeed it is positive. And then, we have a Mesoamerican artist. Her name is Rebecca Navasoto, and her project is, just about healing and how people heal differently. And it is an immersion project. So you actually will walk through, pieces of art hanging from a ceiling, and you can see yourself, through the art, and all while you are experiencing these pieces of art that is inspired from Mesoamerica, and you can, her project invites you to leave something behind and then take something with you. What is it that you want to leave behind today, and what is it that you want to see more of in your life? And part of her project also, there was a cacao, drinking ritual, and the healing benefits around that. So very true to the theme of truth and healing, and how people, are healing, and what they need to do to heal. And so that is Rebecca Navasoto. And then one artist, Desiree Hosley, her project, which will manifest itself in the showcase as a short film. She hosted, these panel discussions with artists in the community, and then invite the community in. And she really wanted these artists to share with the community if they are truly healing through their art making from the last couple of years, and what healing means to them as individuals, and what they hope healing means to others when the community experience their art. So those are just a couple of examples of the art and the artists that participates in this year's showcase, which again will happen July 14th, 15th, and 16th at the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center. We really invite anyone to come out to experience. It's a free event. The museum is not free, but if you come to see the showcase, it's free admission for you. So please come out, as many of you as possible to support these artists as they are sharing their truth first and foremost, and how we as a community can heal together through art. Please come out and support them.
It's so powerful. I got chills hearing about some of the projects. And I think the I'm Still Listening just epitomizes how art can really bridge divides and communities so beautifully. So I'm so excited to see all of the artwork. And one thing too that I know people, when I say I live in Cincinnati now, don't always know about the Freedom Center and how important this region was in the Underground Railroad.
For our artists, it is important that they have a voice in this Smithsonian affiliated institute whose mission is to eradicate, all types of slavery, as it happened in the past, as it happened today. Slavery shows up in so many forms still today, and this institution is here in our community to just eradicate that. And so for our artists, it is an honor to showcase their work at this institution because it is a much needed initiative and effort, and just the relevance of where it is and what it means to the community. They want to be part of that.
That's beautiful. Well, is there anything else that you want to leave us with and the listeners and viewers before we sign off today?
Yes. Thank you, Ellen. I want to thank you and Creativity Squared specifically, and first and foremost for the collaboration, as we continue to, make more resources available for our Black and Brown independent artists, which is, where you have committed your support will be. And so I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak a little bit with your listeners and share the ArtsWave story first as a whole, as we've been here in this community for nearly 100 years, and we hope to be here for the next 100 years. And the foundation that we are growing today, not just through our commitment in diversity, equity, inclusion, and access, but also our commitment to bridge cultural divides, our commitment to create a more vibrant economy and create a more connected community for everybody living in this region. If there is anything that I have said today that touches any of your listeners, we hope you are curious enough to want to learn a little bit more, to be part of our journey, whether it is to, volunteer for us or, give what you can so that we pay it forward. If you are so inclined to learn a little bit more, we invite you to visit artswave.org for more information. And thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh my goodness, the pleasure is mine. And it's such an honor to support such an amazing organization that's really I don't know, just living your values and making such an amazing and positive impact in the community. So the pleasure is all mine. So thank you so much, Janice, for all of your time. And hopefully we'll see each other before mid-July, but I will definitely be seeing you mid-July for the showcase.
Yes, I think we will. And we look forward to hearing our artists on your program because they will share their stories firsthand. And so that's to come too. So we're just grateful for the opportunity. And yes, I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for spending some time with us today. We're just getting started and would love your support. Subscribe to Creativity Squared on your preferred podcast platform and leave a review. It really helps. And I'd love to hear your feedback. What topics are you thinking about and want to dive into more? I invite you to visit creativitysquared.com to let me know. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter so you can easily stay on top of all the latest news at the intersection of AI and creativity. Because it's so important to support artists, 10% of all revenue Creativity Squared generates will go to ArtsWave, a nationally recognized nonprofit that supports over 100 arts organizations. Become a premium newsletter subscriber or leave a tip on the website to support this project and ArtsWave. And premium newsletter subscribers will receive NFTs of episode cover art and more extras to say thank you for helping bring my dream to life. And a big, big thank you to everyone who's offered their time, energy, and encouragement and support so far. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. This show is produced and made possible by the team at Play Audio Agency. Until next week, keep creating.